Hello everyone, welcome to your technical market update for the 2nd of February 2015. We're just going to have a quick look at the charts. If you've watched my economic calendar update, you'll note that there isn't a lot on the table today in terms of news that's going to create a lot of price action or market volatility. Definitely nothing that is going to produce what we've seen recently. It's been quite extraordinary. So we could see the market consolidate a little bit, waiting for the ream of data that we have later on in the week, kicking off tomorrow with the RBA. So we'll have a quick look at the daily chart right now on the New Zealand versus the US. And as you can see, we're starting to form a bottom after very significant falls. We've done this before. It's what we call a dead cat bounce. And we could possibly be lining ourselves up for another one. However, we're going to have a look at the fundamentals. The falls have been quite significant, and one could argue that the market has already priced in the recent change in tone from the RBNZ. So we'll have a look at that and on the 4-hour chart, and you'll see that we've got a spinning top here and a few other candle formations from late into the Friday session and then open of today. We can definitely say that there's a little bit of support. Should we break in through the 72 cent area, it's definitely going to keep falling, and we would call this a dead cat bounce. It could just come up and test the 73 cent before falling away, like it has here on Friday, but we'll have to wait and see. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's going to take leads from the Australian dollar. The Australian dollar is now in control. The New Zealand was last week. And the New Zealand should just follow what the Australian dollar does. So we'll look at that in a bit more detail. If there is a break of 73 cents, we could be moving up into 73.5, leading into tomorrow's interest rate decision. The reason I say that, if we have a look at the Australian dollar versus the US, it's a very similar chart, except we had a little bit of a larger test on the back of the old support. Has now become resistance. That's a very significant level there at 80 cents. I don't see the market getting above 80 cents unless the Australian RBA was to come out and basically say that they're not prepared to do anything and they don't see anything needing to be done in the Australian economy in the near future. And that really isn't going to happen. So we've formed a little short-term bottom. Once again, if tomorrow's announcement comes out and they do actually cut rates and the statements, well, then we will see that support broken, and that's a trade that I will be taking personally and making some money on the way down. If the market was to come back and just change their tone to say that we're not going to cut rates right now, but we look to do so in the future should the economic data not improve, well, then the market could be quite hard to trade in terms that they've already started falling on the back of the assumptions that the RBA is going to do something, and the market may get into a bit of a tug of war where it's trying to work out if we've already priced in the statement or whether the statement is actually a little bit bearish and the Australian dollar needs to fall a little bit. So that's the circumstances that could possibly happen. Between now and then, you're going to be reading market sentiment. The market has already priced in, as I said, somewhat of a rate cut. Not a full one yet. It hasn't priced in the full effects of a rate cut, but it has started pricing it in. So if we do get it, we should see some continued falls. If we don't get it, we could see a bounce depending on the tone. Between now and then, if the market starts to believe that it's less and less likely to see a rate cut tomorrow and just possibly a bearish tone to the statement, we could start to see the price action grind higher. And that wouldn't be surprising to me at all. And as you can see, we've got tweezer bottoms here, we've got support here from Friday, the market's opened, and we still haven't broken above 78 cents, but if we do, they could open up straight up into 78.5 cents for tomorrow and hover around here until the interest rate decision comes out before we either fall or make our way up to test the 80 cent area again. It's not likely to continue on past this as I see it based on the highly likely outcomes from the RBA. If we break 77 cents, the market will that's a great indication of falling. And as I said, that's a trade that I'll be shorting. I'll be definitely putting out a lot of tweets and some detailed trading opportunities closer to the event. That way the chart's a little bit more relevant, so I'll stay tuned for that. We'll quickly just breeze through the other charts. The Great British Pound, we spoke about the consolidation. There was a very common level here at $1.50 that if I go to the 4-hour chart, you'll see that the market's either bounced off and found support or it's found resistance. Right now, it broke through it on Friday and it's now testing the back of it, and that's potential resistance. We did have a gap at the open, and that gap is yet to be closed, and I do expect it to get closed potentially tonight at some point. There is a scalping opportunity in that. However, I haven't released too many details on how I trade that. That's a video that I will be releasing in the future. So for now, the Great British Pound, if I zoom out on the 1 hourly chart, $1.51 is resistance, and the gap of where the market closed on Friday is yet to be filled. And I usually trade it down into this area here. So we're looking for a potential of 13 pips there. So, we'll take 10, take it off the table if the opportunity arises, and we'll be happy with that. The Euro daily chart, definite downtrend. We had a bounce from the speculation of the Swiss intervention, which I mentioned last week, and now we're starting to drift lower. That's not uncommon. Once the intervention rumours start to dry up, the initial trend will continue. I do expect the Euro to go lower, and there's potential opportunities to trading out the breakdown of the support and chasing a quick 10 pips. And it's going to come down to the news. It's going to come out in 3 hours' time. That could be bearish, and that could definitely drive the market through there. Make a quick, easy 10 pips on a quiet night's trading, and with potentially 10 pips out of the Great British Pound, and you'd call it a good night. The franc is very hard to trade still, so we won't get into that. That's a 100 pip movement just there on the daily chart. So we're looking at some fairly large movements, and we won't get into that right now. The US CAD, very strong uptrend, doesn't look like stopping. The US dollar strength is still in play there, even though oil's had a bounce. I may bring up an oil chart and I'll show you the bounce that oil's had, but yet it doesn't seem to be stopping the US dollar strength story on the US CAD. At some point it will, and I do expect the market to pull back into some rational levels and back to, it can't keep going up on this trend forever. It's not a sustainable rally. If we have a look at the US JAP, we're still within that consolidation, like a rubber band. The longer that it's kept cooped up into this, the harder it's going to break out. And when it does, I'm definitely going to be there to be taking some money. The story is we've had a gap lower, and now we're closing that gap in the shorter time frames. But nonetheless, the consolidation is getting tighter and tighter. And I'll be posting any charts when I believe that it's going to punch out of that. However, it could be later in the week when we do have some significant data coming out of the US. So we'll have a look for that. Just a few quick charts. They're the majors. There's not a lot of opportunities, but we'll have a look at the Euro AUD now. If the Euro continues to fall and breaks through this level, there's a potential quick 10 pips you can have out of that tonight or tomorrow. It's just going to come down to the Euro coming off, as we just mentioned, and potentially the Australian dollar getting some support as the market starts to get a little nervous as to, is the RBA going to cut rates like they've started pricing in or not? And with the Australian dollar potentially drifting higher and the Euro drifting lower, we could just get a quick opportunity there for some pips. Exact same reason, exact same story, Great British Pound AUD. We've found a topping of the trend here with the Great British Pound strength coming to an end, but we're still within the price range of the consolidation, so I'm not willing to trade it or play with it until it either breaks out from the low or breaks out from the high. And I think that we will get a breakout of this price here at some stage tomorrow with the RBA decision. So there's some quick charts to have a look at. I hope that's given you a quick insight to what's going on tonight. And as I mentioned in my economic calendar video, don't be surprised if the session's quiet. It's a scalping night where you pick up a couple of pips and you prepare yourself for the major events later in the week, which as the week gets on, I'll be diving into in a bit more detail. Thanks everybody. Make sure you follow me on Facebook and Twitter. That way you'll be getting a lot quicker updates and a lot more charts as the session rolls out. And until tomorrow, trade well.